Every successful actor you admire, every single one that you admire, has stood where you are now. They had their own butts and fears. Hey there, bold one. I do declare, I believe my voice needs a little bit of an explanation. I have laryngitis. I have the laryngitis. It sounds horrible, doesn't it? It sounds like some sort of really terrible disease, but it's actually not that big of a deal. I lost my voice. Now it's coming back. I had actually planned a really long podcast this time. I was going to cover the 8 blind spots that actors deal with on a regular basis. But instead of doing that, I'm just going to concentrate on one blind spot. And that blind spot is readiness. And the reason I'm doing it in spite of this voice is because, if you will recall, last week's podcast was all about consistency. And in the spirit of consistency, I've not missed a podcast since February 22nd, 2023, and I have no intention of missing one this week either because of a little itty bitty thing like my voice. So let's get into it. Let's talk about readiness. You say you want to be a working actor, and yet, there is always a but following that statement. But I'm not ready, but I don't have an agent, but my show reel is shit. It's not good enough. These, oh my gosh, if I had $1, a euro, shekel, a yen, whatever, every time I heard that, I would be filthy friggin' rich. These are so common, but can we just be honest with each other? Are they legitimate reasons, or are they convenient excuses? I'm asking you. You consider this. Every successful actor you admire, every single one that you admire, has stood where you are now. They had their own butts and fears. Look, I got a story for you. I recently coached an actor who was perpetually stuck in the not ready phase. What was his problem? He believed he needed the perfect show reel before he could begin to submit to castings or to an agent. So this was holding him back. He obviously was not auditioning for anything, and he was wanting to be an actor, and yet he was doing nothing about being an actor. So we worked to shift his perspective, focusing instead on what he could do with his current resources. And I say current resources because money was a factor. I get it. Money is often a factor, especially for artists like us. But I must also say that it's a factor I don't have a whole lot of patience with, because where there is a will, there is a way. Everything is figure-outable. If you want something, you're going to figure out how to get it. What can you do? You can clean out your garage. You can clean out your neighbor's garage. You can go to all of your neighbors and ask them, hey, look, if I clean out your garage for you, can I sell off whatever's in there that you're not using and give you 30%, keep 70% or 50%, whatever it is? There's always something you can do. So this actor that I was coaching, he began to use simple self-tape scenes. And guess what? He actually landed a role that kick-started his career. Is he famous? No, he is not. But is he a working actor now? Yes, he is. And isn't that what we all want? He does commercials, he does voiceover, he does co-stars and guest stars. He's working, he's out there. And each time it's a little bit better as he looks back every 6 months. He can see his progression. But it all started with making that first move. His readiness, it wasn't about perfect materials. It was about his willingness to take a chance with what he had. Now it's your turn. Ask yourself, is your readiness truly about external factors, or is it an internal barrier that you have put up yourself? So maybe I should define external factors. These are things like war, pandemic, weather, the actor's strike, right? These are all things that are bigger than you, outside of your control. What are things within your control? If it has anything to do with your materials, if it has anything to do with your relationships, if it has anything to do with your lack of relationships, that is all within your control. I hate to break it to you. So the question is, are you actually protecting yourself from potential failure or rejection? And if you are, it's a natural thing. Nobody likes failure or rejection, but my baby, you got to get used to that. This business is filled with potential failure and rejection. You just have to develop a thick skin. There is not a working actor alive who has not faced failure and rejection. So you just chalk that up as another notch on your belt that proves you're a working actor. Every time that you don't succeed, whatever the hell that means, or you get rejected, whatever the hell that means, you are one step closer to getting your yes. So if you're feeling brave, put your answer to my question, what are the things that you have been considering your blind spot, in the comments below. And if you would like to wait until we get to the 3 actionable steps, which I'm just about to get into, so that you can figure it out, then let's move on to that. Because I want you to know that you are not the only one who's ever been blinded by the Readiness blind spot. You see what I did there? So, all right, let's get into the 3 actionable steps that you can take right now to realign your efforts so that they're mapping your aspirations. But before I do, make sure to like, subscribe, and share if you're finding any of this useful. It actually is really very helpful. So now, onward to actionable step number 1. All right, here's what you can do. First, grab a paper and pen and list down all of the reasons that you think you are not ready. You need to be brutally honest here. I'm not saying that you should now make a judgment on these actions, but list down all of the reasons why you think you can't apply to an agent, why you can't send your materials out to casting directors, why you can't apply to castings, right? These are the ways that we get work. Be brutally honest. List down all of your reasons. Your logical mind is going to be telling you, oops, that was like a Freudian slip, wasn't it? Your logical mind. But anyway, your logical mind is going to be coming up with all sorts of excuses to protect you. That's what it's supposed to do. You need to say, you be quiet. I'm going to list these things out. We're not passing judgment on them yet, because that comes in step number 2. For each reason, you must ask yourself, is this something within my control? Because if it is, you can make a plan to tackle it. And if it's not, let's find a way to work around it. Everything is figure-outable. How do you know if it's in your control? If it has anything to do with your materials, your relationship, or your skill, these are all areas that you can work on, all of them, and they are not money dependent. I will link to a video in the show notes, for example, about how to get brand new headshots without putting any money out. Are they going to be perfect? Are they going to be comparable to headshots shot with a top headshot photographer? Probably not. No. Are they better than nothing? Absolutely. Yes, they are. So, on to actionable step number 3. Start small. If you're waiting for the perfect show reel, consider self-taping a scene or 2. You have the power. Remember, readiness is less about having everything perfect and more about being willing to start where you are with what you have. You must take imperfect action. Progress over perfection. You have the power to change your narrative. Now, as I always say to my son, I do always say this to him and drives him up a wall, but it's true. Every day, every minute is a chance to start over again. So if you're ready to take off your blinders and get serious about getting the career you want, then book a free consultation with me. And let's see if you'd be a good fit for my program. I'm actually starting a brand new cohort in January 2024, and I'm super excited about it. It is going to be a kick-ass program that will be a game changer in your career. That I can promise you. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, you stay your bold and beautiful self. Bye-bye. Oh, you're still watching. What are you doing here? Okay. Well, as long as you're still here, then why don't you go watch this video? See you next time. Bye-bye.